All right, there we go. We got some audio in there. Good morning, everybody who may be watching either live or on delay. As you know, this is what we're doing here is we're doing these live chat. We're going to start doing these live chats every week, so that way we can get on and just talk about what's going on and actually hear it from a face and not from a keyboard. Then you're stuck having to look at this mug for the next hour or so. You know, we'll try to get through this in less than an hour. Last time we went about 20 minutes over an hour. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this one a little easier than the last one there. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat on YouTube. Or if you want to, feel free to post anything on the Facebook messages that were posted in the REC Networks chat in the REC Networks Facebook page, because that's where I'll be looking for them, right there. I think the big thing is that just before we went to air here about 20 minutes ago, I was doing some checking, and we have some major breaking news here. We do now have the LPFM technical rules, the MB Docket 19-193. We do now have the rules published in the Federal Register. I was just getting ready to send an email to Albert Schuldner, who is the chief of the audio division, to ask what was the status on the publication. And of course, before I hit the send button, I just decided I might as well go check in just to make sure that it may have not have been published today. And guess what? Lo and behold, it was published today. So there are your dates for the comments on October 21st, reply comments November 4th. What is currently on the proposal right now? The big thing, the huge thing that's on there, is the elimination of the Channel 6 protection requirements. Right now, any broadcast station, whether it's a translator, a full power, an LPFM, they have to provide some protections to Channel 6 television broadcast stations if the LP or if the broadcast station is operating on the radio station is operating between 88.1 and 91.9. And the FCC is proposing to just get rid of those restrictions altogether, timed with the July 2021 sunset date for analog low-power television stations. Now, the Franken FM movement, which are those Channel 6 stations that are using their audio carrier to run like a radio station, they're kind of fighting some of the sunset dates and such like that, or they're trying to get some kind of a life after. They've actually came up with this kind of creative way that they want to reduce the digital bandwidth of a television signal, and then leave the upper part open so they can stick an analog signal in there. I'm not too keen on that idea, because again, they should not be using television stations to compete with radio stations. And you know, there is a much bigger issue there with that. So some of the other things that are on there, you know, include the moves of over 5.6 kilometers. If you can make a showing that there's contour overlap, this is something that translators can do right now. We're basically trying to even the field there. We also have the relief for the international border situations down in Tucson and such, where they'll be able to run 100 watts in all the directions except towards the border. That's in there, and I mean, there's you know, there's a few other things in that. What's not in there, what needs to be in this proceeding, is LP 250. The problem was the FCC felt that there was not enough new arguments made to support LP 250, and this is where we need your help. we need everybody out there to look at their situation and see how LP 250 would be able to help their specific station, even if you won't be able to qualify for LP 250 because of your close distance to other translators or other LPFMs under the proposed guidelines. We're going to come back and we're going to bring back in another LP 250 barrage. The strategy right now is to ask for it in a further notice of proposed rulemaking. Basically what we want is we want to get through MB 19193. We want to get that Channel 6 stuff out the door and get that codified and get a window going that way, because that's the, then that will lead to the LPFM window. And so let's get stories regarding regarding building penetration, coverage issues, stuff like that. That's really the that's really the big thing, is making sure that we talk a lot about that. And let's push for a further notice of proposed rulemaking. What this is going to mean is that in the next window, the LPFM stations, and this is what we originally intended for the previous LP 250 iteration, the LPFM stations would come in as LP 100s, and then based on the demand of LP 100, then we would open up an opportunity for those stations that can upgrade to LP 250. That was the original thought process when we did LP 250 a few years ago, and it would still be the most valid one to use today. So once again, let's give you those dates again. There they are. So write these dates down, keep these dates noted. We'll be talking a lot about them. They'll be mentioned up on the REC website when I get a chance to here. October 21st is the comment deadline, and the reply comment deadline is November 4th, 2019. It's MB Docket 19193. You're also going to want to refer to MB Docket 17105. That is the media modernization proceeding. That was the proceeding that invited us to make the comments and propose the items that would eventually go into MB Docket 19193. So there you go. There you go. And let's hope for the best. We've already seen an ex parte presentation by Entercom claiming that 19193 is going to present more interference to the to the spectrum. So we're already starting to get some pushback. Again, we also expect a lot of pushback on this one from all the TV interests, not just the Franken FMs, but I also see like ABC, Disney coming in because of WPVI up in Philadelphia. They were very vocal in the past in objecting to changes to the FM protections to Channel 6. We may also see the folks in Long Beach who have the 88.1 full power station come in, and such, because of the interference going the other way. There's still, there's still a little bit of shaky ground. The Channel 6 is definitely going to be the big controversy in this proceeding. And honestly, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I just hope that the Channel 6 issues do not delay the window for LPFM. And even if the FCC was to reject the Channel 6 issues or go to something more, I think they will still give, if they totally reject the outright elimination of the 6 protections, and, I think they will still give us the request that I put in to have LPFMs down below below 92, to be able to use the translator style contour protection to Channel 6, other than just these flat distances that right now only protect, they overprotect everybody except maybe 5 or 6 low power TV stations across the country. So it's a very unreasonable methods that they're using right now for LPFM, just for the sake of simplicity. Yes, it's the same simplicity that just opened up the whole public. That's that same simplicity that's giving us the whole public notice mess that we're going through right now. We talked about that on last week's, and that should be that should be adopted in next week's meeting. Next Thursday is the FCC's meeting, and we plan to carry it here on this channel. So you'll be able to hear it, and we'll definitely have some comments before and afterwards. Let's see, here's the calendar of various items that are coming up here. ETRS, if you have not filed your Form 3 for the EAS test from back in August, that's due on Monday the 23rd. We need to get that filed. We need y'all to get that filed. Make sure we want to get that LPFM number up this year. We've got to get that number up. And the only way we can do that is with your help. So again, ETRS Form 3 is due on the 23rd. On the 25th, and we're going to talk maybe a little more about this. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about this in just a moment. But the first day to use LMS, the license management system, instead of CDBS for filing construction permit and license to cover applications, that's going to be on the 25th. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Day after, on the 26th, is the FCC September meeting. The only real media item that we need to be concerned about as LPFM and non-commercial FM broadcast stations is the item in regards to public notice. It will actually make things a little easier. It will also finally bridge the gap that we have right now, the uncertainty around the LPFM stations and their obligations. It will reduce the number of announcements you have to put over the air for renewals. And also for new entrants, it will completely eliminate the need to use the newspaper, which would be a very costly barrier to entry. This is something that LPFM stations had been required the whole entire time to use, but they have not been able to. They've not been able to use they've not been able to use it. Anyway, I've lost myself. Yeah. Well, the thing is that, okay? Let me get myself back together again. I got distracted by a question. It's the expense, the massive expense right now that a big city newspaper, that you have to go to a big city newspaper in order to get a public notice in for a low power FM radio station that only serves a neighborhood. So, yeah, something's wrong there. And the FCC looks like they're finally going to fix that. I think this is going back to the Franken FM question. What about WNYZ-LP Channel 6 in New York? Good question. Let me look at WNYZ really quickly on the old stereoscope here and see what they are here. I believe that is an analog Channel 6 station. I'm waiting for it to come up. We are having some huge database issues here. Whoops, that's not what we wanted. There we go. We're having some huge database issues here, and everything has been running super slow. And we'll talk about that in just a moment or two. And we're just waiting for that to come up. Now, assuming, okay, here we go. Let's see, what are they here? They are a, they look like these guys look like a digital station? No, they're an analog. They're an analog. So what's going to happen with this station is that depending on whether the FCC makes some additional policies or rulemaking or whatever, if they don't, after the I think it's the 21st of June or July of 2021. All I know is it's June or July of 2021. I don't have the exact date in front of me. All low power television stations will be required to shut down their analog, and they will either have to file to go to digital on their current channel to do a flash cut, or they'll have to file for transitioning, for a companion channel and move somewhere else. Now I see that they've got a construction permit here, and I believe this is probably, let's see, what is this application doing? AIE, this one, let me see. Yeah, that's a digital, okay, so they have a pending digital flash cut application right now. So what that means is that after the sunset, they intend to stay on channel 6 as a digital television station. And whatever comes out of the FCC as far as this little campaign that the Franken FM operators are on right now, if they get their way, then there's a possibility that the analog Korean station, the Korean language broadcasts on WNYZ-LP will stay. However, if the FCC forces them to sunset, then that will go away. And that will become a digital channel 6 station that you would not be able to pick up on a radio on 87.7 anymore. And that's where things are going to go with the analog sunset. Just some information there for you. And yeah, where is it? Up in New York, I understand they got a really good Korean station. I think it's the old WJDM in Elizabeth, New Jersey, 1630 or 1640 or somewhere like that. I think is up there. And I remember having to defend ethnic stations, and this one was brought up saying that this was a waste of spectrum, and I said I totally disagree. You go to their website and you look at what they're doing. They look like an institution in their community, and they have and so it seems like they've got a strong standing. Ethnic radio, especially the Korean community, they have some really strong stations. They've got some, there's some really strong Korean and Chinese stations in the Los Angeles market, and there is in the New York market too. So, these are needed services, and as somebody who programs 3 channels of Japanese music and Japanese programming, I definitely have a huge place in my heart for ethnic broadcasting in this country, and I'm with y'all all the way on that. And there are a few Korean LPs across the country. I think a lot of them they're mostly faith-based, and we also have a network of Chinese stations, New Tang Dynasty organization, which, while it's commendable that they are programming Chinese, the way that they obtained the stations was kind of questionable. So, and we've had to fight them in a couple places, but that was mainly not because of the content, even though I was accused of being anti-Asian in one case. And I said, wait a minute, I had to remind people on file, as a primary provider of Japanese music streaming on the internet on 3 channels, you really think I'm anti-Asian? Anything but. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It's 1660. That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay, 1660 WNYZ. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I don't know how well the 1660 is working. I think that's a 10 kilowatt day, 1 kilowatt night, like every other X-band station. So hopefully they're doing good. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, so, we've got a Franken FM here in Salisbury, and that one will probably be going away too. with all these changes. Okay, let's talk about conversion to LMS. As you know, if you do your own applications, you know, and you don't use REC, which you should, but if you do your own applications for construction permits and license to covers, you'll need to know this, that that the FCC is changing the various forms that are currently right now filed in LMS, filed in CDBS, and moving these to LMS. And these are mainly the construction permit and license to cover applications for the FM radio services. So you've got full power FM there with the forms 301 and 302. Now the AM is going to stay in CDBS for now. LPFMs, your forms 318 and 319 will be moving over there. NCE, non-commercial, full power 340 for the construction permit, that'll be moving over there. Full power uses 302 for the license to cover. And then for the translators and boosters, forms 349 and 350 will be moved over there. You won't see the form numbers in LMS. You're just going to see descriptive names, so like minor change of construction permit. And there's probably going to be a whole entire pull-down list of all of these. And if you have been into LMS to do your renewal, you already have a feel of how it feels. If you want to look for my video on this channel, and perhaps I'll post a link to it after we're done with this video and we go into post-production, with my presentation on the renewal process, which also went through LMS. And so I went ahead and showed in there how everything can be done. So these are the forms that will be moving over there. This is going to start on the 25th. So starting on the 25th, you will not be able to use CDBS, and I believe this also includes even for amendments of existing applications will still have to go through. From my understanding, everything is going to be moved over from CDBS to LMS. I can tell you that you know, a lot of it has been. The first LMS applications you're going to be filing, you may get some bumps in the road, and you may have to convert some of your data around so that way it is compatible with LMS. We're noticing this in the renewals, where you have to reformat your names and such like that, because where CDBS put everything on one line, LMS is using multiple fields like first name, last name, etc. So there you go. That's what's in store for the conversion to LMS. REC is having its own data problems right now. If you've noticed, response times on the websites on FCC Data, on FCC Today, and the various other tools has been very slow. It was so slow that we could not get the renewal update for you you know, that we would normally put on here, and so we'll post that on the REC page once we're done with this broadcast. We're working. We tried to do using the existing database structure. We went ahead and moved the updates back to 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and what we had found was that right now it took so long that we did not get through the. It did not finish up till about a little bit after 10 a.m. Was when things finished up finally, and I was hoping to have an update by 8 a.m. So what we're going to have to do is the plan right now is this Sunday we're going to completely shut down the website. Completely shut down the website. We're going to go in. We're going to do a complete clean out of the database. Basically rebuild the database, put it back up, and then bring all the sites back up. And we're hoping that this will fix the response time problem. There is an issue with SQL where if you know, when you delete stuff out of a database, it doesn't actually delete out on one file, and things just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they just get so bloated. We've also had a huge hit recently of search engines, search bots, and we've kind of put a stop to that. That's helped some of the performance issues, but it has not helped a lot of the big issues. We are also going to need to be going in and doing a lot of software modifications in relationship to the conversion over to LMS, because LMS is a different data structure. And we currently support LMS displays on FCC data for TV, but not for the radio. And so we've still got to put that functionality in there. I feel like there's still a lot of data that will go from CDBS, that'll go from LMS back to CDBS. But I don't want to take chances on that, and I want to make sure that we do this. So after the 25th, there may be a bump in the road on some of our systems because of that. Well, I was going to have a regulatory update on 19193 that it wasn't back in there, and I already mentioned the thing with Entercom, so we don't need to talk about that. 19.3, we're still awaiting a report and order on that. There hasn't really been a lot of activity on that. So the FCC is just having to thumb through everything right now, and I'm hoping that we get a report and order on that sometime, maybe. I'd love to have it by the end of this year. I would love to have this by the end of this year, because I would love to have an NCE window early next year. That's what I would love. Not saying it's going to happen. But there will be a few of us going to DC here in probably the next couple weeks to discuss with the FCC the timing of the filing windows and such, assuming, you know, that we get a report in order on 19.3 this year, and also too, we need to gauge when they think that we're going to have a report in order on 19.3. Basically what happens is that the audio division and the media bureau, what they do is they write up this decision. They write up the order based on everything that was that was reviewed and such, and they have their lawyers review it and everything and all that. And of course they get input from us through ex parte communications. They get suggestions from the commissioners and others. And then what they do is they come up with this draft version. And then what happens is that the draft version is then put on what they call circulation. And so what happens is when it goes on circulation, it goes to all 5 of the commissioners and their staffs to review and suggest any changes. And if they're good with it, then they'll go ahead and basically put like a yes vote, we'll call it, for the circulation status, meaning that they're good with it. And then eventually, once it's fully circulated and everybody's good with it, then it goes to another draft. And under Ajit Pai, you might say a lot of bad things about Ajit Pai, but one of the nice things that he has done is he's put those draft circulation notices online prior to the meeting. And it does help those of us who are trying to help you all, and because we've caught a few things already. We've been able to facilitate some minor changes to these things before they went to the commission. After they went to the commission and such, and so it does help. And so once it goes to that point, it goes to that point where it's on that final draft. Then it goes onto the agenda, and sometimes they'll approve things before it goes, before it's supposed to go up at the meeting, and then and like that happened with 19193. It was originally on the agenda for the commission meeting a few months ago, and I was getting ready to go to DC for it, and like 2 days on the Tuesday beforehand, I got a call from staff saying they they've approved the, they've adopted the notice of proposed rulemaking. It's not going to be on the agenda. You don't need to come to DC. I'm like, oh, good. I just saved myself a hotel room and a drive. So, hey, can't get any better than that. And so bottom line is that they can either adopt it at the meeting or sometime beforehand. So that's what's happening with this one for the public notice. There's already a draft out there, and they're planning on adopting it in next Thursday's meeting. So we're just now we're just waiting for them to decide what's going to happen there, and then we need to talk about the timing of the window and the sequencing of the windows, and that's the key thing. Originally, the FCC wanted the LPFM window to be before the NCE window. There's a problem with that. First of all, some big changes to Channel 6 were proposed in 19193. I want LPFM stations to be able to take full advantage of that, to take full advantage of the 19193 changes on Channel 6. And because that will actually open up, in a lot of places across the country, that will open up additional channels. It will actually open up additional channels here in Riverton. That's something that we need to take into consideration. Also, too, if we time the full service window, the full service NCE window, which is going to use only those channels that would be subject to the Channel 6 stuff anyway, and considering that the full service stations don't have to protect LPTV Channel 6 stations, only the 8 or 9 full power stations there are in the country, it would make more sense to let them have first dibs at those channels than LPFM. And the main reason is because if we do LPFM first before the full service NCE, the full service NCE would have priority, and they would have, because they're primary status where LP is secondary, and then we're going to be stuck with a bunch of LPs out there that have no place to go because they've been displaced by these pending NCE applications that are primary. So let's let the primary go in first, take what they need, and keep in mind this is only 20 of the 100 channels. This is not going to impact the commercial band. It's just the 20 channels below 92, which most of them are not available to LPFM right now because of the Channel 6 rules. So let them take what they can get, and then we'll bring in LPFM right after that. And that's really, that to me, that makes more sense. And overall, it will make for a much better experience for LPFM overall. So that's one of the things that we are pushing right now. All right. We must talk about it. Yes. The C word, compliance. Honestly, I'm getting really sick and tired of the things I'm reading on social media about the Charlottesville situation, and everybody's saying, "Oh, the Saga Communications is bullying the LPFM." Trust me, I have seen bullying of LPFMs. We had that happen we had that happen a while back in Crisfield, Maryland, right down the road from us here on Delmarva. I've seen bullying of LPFMs. If a LPFM, if a full service is gonna fight an LP just because they don't want the competition, and there isn't a legitimate rules violation going on, and the full power still complains, that is bullying. But when there is an actual suspicion, and a very solid suspicion of a rules violation, or policy violation, especially where it comes to the non-commercial nature of NCE stations. That's not bullying. That is a legitimate issue. And that's what's going on in Charlottesville right now. And, you know, the underwriting messages, I'm going to still call them that. And, you know, are, you know, the ones that Saga claimed were carried on that station. And again, I'm giving the LPFMs the benefit of the doubt. It is clear, it is outright clear as Arrowhead drinking water that those messages that aired are commercials in complete violation of the rules. Now again, giving the benefit of the doubt that those commercials actually aired on the FM transmitters and maybe not just relegated to the internet streams and something else was aired on the over the air. Assuming that those went over FM, yeah, there's nothing that can be defended there. Again, like I said before, what can be defended is the relationships, is the co-op, where it comes to the technical facilities, being able to have everybody buy into one thing. Again, as long as it's a situation where all the money that goes into that co-op is either going directly to rents and utility costs and such in a rainy day fund in case something goes wrong with the antenna or the combiner or something like that. You know, as long as nobody's making a profit off of that. Where I do have some more concerns is this other LLC that was started that apparently is marketing the stations. And they're the ones whose name is on the media kit. They're the ones that are kind of representing that it's their stations. There's a problem there. Now, here's the thing. If they're being used like to recruit potential underwriters, but still, if somebody wants to underwrite on two stations, they write two separate checks directly to the licensees, no problem. And then if those licensees want to pay a commission back to this LLC for recruiting those underwriters, no problem. It's no different than having staff in your organization that is out trying to track down potential underwriters and paying on commissions. However, if it goes the other way, if all the money comes into the LLC and then maybe gets distributed that way, then you've got a huge issue. So this has all got to work out again, but we need to stop saying that just because a station has a LPFM designation does not put them above the law. I've said this about 1,000 times already. I want to try to defend these stations that are doing this stuff for the things that can be defended, and I will say outright what those things are, and I will say outright what can't be defended. And running commercial advertising cannot be defended. I just got reports yesterday from an LP in suburban Los Angeles. Heard outright commercials on the air checks. You know, this has got to stop. You know, I don't know if it was just if some definitely had gone in with the intention of just running commercials all the way through. Some had come in with the thought, oh wow, we're going to have this free license given by the FCC to run a radio station. So they apply, they get the license. It's probably another consultant may have talked them into it. You know, your own radio station, you know, that kind of thing. And then they suddenly realize, oh, I've got to get a $4,000 certified transmitter. I just can't get one off of Amazon? What's this about a $2,500, $3,000 certified EAS unit? Oh my God, I don't have this kind of money. I mean, I can put it out, but I got to get it back. I got to run commercials. I got to do what I can to attract people, because they're not just going to buy something that just says so-and-so, we're brought to you by Joe's Crab Shack located at 415 Main Street. Their phone number is 415-407-1000. People are not going to buy that, that's what people think, but it's like, And then what are they running? They're running a jukebox. No, folks, this is not what LPFM was intended for. Remember, LPFM was originally supposed to be for bigger nonprofit organizations. And that's why the bigger nonprofit organizations like the NAACP, like La Raza, like the National Hispanic Media Coalition, who happens to now have a station, and various other major name civil rights organizations supported LPFM as a non-commercial service from the get-go. So, people are saying it was big broadcasting that made LPFM be a non-commercial service. And yes, big broadcasting did have an influence, and we saw that in the Radio Broadcast Protection Act. But before the Radio Broadcast Protection Act, the concept of non-commercial LPFM was already in stone, and it wasn't the big broadcasters. NAB wasn't even mentioned in the original report and order where it comes to this subject. The issue was the civil rights organizations and the other non-commercial and the other nonprofit organizations at the time. They were the ones that wanted. Who didn't want it? Roger Skinner, author of RM9242, who is a low-power TV speculator, as well as Nick Leggett and Don Shellhar, who wrote RM9208, the other LPFM petition. They wanted to see it as a new service free of auctions and for hobby broadcasters. That's what they wanted. They wanted a hobby broadcast service. And, well, we got a really good non-commercial educational service out of it. So, there you go with that. Anywho, let's just remind, these are the big issues right here that we're seeing the compliance gotchas on. All right, so again, call to action, enticement to buy, quantitative, qualitative, pricing information. This is the stuff we've got to be watching on the copy. This is what's going to be prompting the objections. Now, we heard about one station where they were giving out all these, they were doing all these call to actions and everything, and when they were confronted on it, they say, but at the end we're saying that so-and-so supports our station. That doesn't exclude you from not promoting. Remember, it is identification, not promotion. We need to make sure that we're following that and remembering that we're following these big compliance gotchas. I'm in the process right now of authoring up a brand new compliance guide, and I will make it available eventually. Here, it'll be on the website, both in web form and possibly even in a PDF printable form, so you can use this as training at your station. Also, just a reminder, recnet.com/checklist for the station self-inspection checklist. Make sure you're doing that about once every 3 months, just to make sure that you're on the up and up. And make sure that you're running a certified transmitter. Look for the label. It's got to say FCC ID and then have a bunch of letters and numbers. If you have a transmitter that does not have that FCC ID and you were to get inspected, you will get a notice of violation, most likely. Just happened in California. And that was a huge mess in itself. So, there we go. Again, these are the big issues that we have coming up and that we have going right now. Now, if anybody has any questions on anything, any subject, any LPFM subject, any radio subject, any FCC subject is open right now. If anybody has any questions, you can drop them in the chat right now on YouTube. I'm also watching the two messages that I posted in Facebook on the REC Networks page. If you have any questions, drop them now. You've always wanted to talk to the Michi. This is your time to do it. Feel free to drop in any questions right now. Just a reminder that if you need to reach me anytime for anything, 1-844-REC LPFM, 1-844-732-5736. And feel free to call. LPFM at recnet.com is another way of reaching me via email. The way I work is the advice is always free. You are asked, though, to make a donation through the website. You don't have to, but if you feel that the advice that I give, the information that I give, is worth it, especially if I could save you the cost of an attorney, then then yeah, I did my job. So feel free to do that anytime. Once again, just go ahead and drop any questions in there. And let's see. Okay, based on what you mentioned earlier about the non-commercial band, LPFMs can't use open channels in the non-commercial band? They can. LPFM stations currently, they have several, there's a lot of impediments, though, to using the non-commercial band by LPFMs. First of all, LPFM stations are subject to distance separation rules under 73807, where non-commercial stations operating in that band use contours. So first of all, a 150 watt Class A station that might have been, that's at a high school, that might have been one of the former Class D stations, like especially up here in the Northeast, that upgraded and went to 150 watts just to get the primary status, but still have a smaller, efficient service area. They're going to be protected like they're a 6,000 watt station at 100 meters above average terrain as a full Class A from LPFM stations. So there's actually a massive overprotection there. That reduces the number of channels that are available. What also reduces the number of channels that are available right now is 73825 of the rules, which is the relationship between LPFM and television channel 6 stations. What the FCC uses for LPFM is that they have two different distance separation tables divided up into 20 different distances for the 20 NCE channels. So if you're on 88.1, you've got to be X number of kilometers away from a full power channel 6 and X number of kilometers away from an LPTV channel 6. However, now the distances that they give for the full service make sense, because they're full service stations and most of them are operating at these higher maximums. But the ones that don't make sense are the ones that they gave for the low power TV stations. And we did several studies on this. This was in RM 11810, this was in 17105, and apparently we impressed the FCC enough to get this into the rulemaking. And that is that right now they protect full service. They protect LPTV stations like they're 3 kilowatts. I think it's 3 kilowatts at 100 meters or 610 meters or something really high. Way at the highest extent that an LPTV station could be. And when we did the study and we did the look, maybe like less than 10 stations, less than 10 LPTV stations even had service contours of that size. So we were overprotecting hundreds of Channel 6 TV stations down in that spectrum. What I originally asked for was for LPFM to go to the same contour method as translators use. Now remember, the Local Community Radio Act doesn't cover the relationship between LPFM and Channel 6. The FCC actually agreed with me on that. And what they proposed in this upcoming rulemaking in 19193 is that if the rulemaking is adopted prior to the analog LP TV sunset in July of 2021, that what I proposed would go through, where if the LP TV station, the LPFM station could use the same translator tables and use the same contour overlap to show that there would be no interference to the channel 6. And then after that date, after that sunset date, they don't have to show that protection anymore. And that's what the FCC has on there. What I'm saying is that for new LPFMs, let's wait until after the sunset and then open the LPFM window. So that'd be late 2021 at the earliest. I'm still seeking reality because of because we still have to do the NCE window first. That it may not be till 2022 or 2023. But yeah, Ricky, Class D radio does have some very interesting history to it. And you go back and you look at these stations, and a lot of it is up your way there in New York and New Jersey, and a lot of high schools and such and small colleges originally started as Class D stations, 10 watts transmitter power output. And, back in like 78 when they decided to change all the rules, a lot of them, some of them are still Class Ds. A lot of them upgraded. Where is it? It's in Chicago. Isn't it in Chicago where there's like a whole boatload of Class D stations or something on 88.1? I know there's like one channel there where there's a ton of timeshare. So that's pretty much what they've got there. Okay. Oh. On the legacy Class D, can they be upgraded to Class A? That was that was an opportunity that was offered a long time ago, back in the late 70s, where those stations would be able to upgrade. Now, they do have an opportunity to upgrade in the upcoming window. I don't see any reason why, because it is a filing window, that major change applications could be made at that time. So yeah, if there is a Class D station that's in a situation where they can get that ERP up over 100 and up to 100 or higher, and they file for an upgrade to a Class A, they should be able to do that in the NCE window that we're talking about. They would have also had an opportunity to do it back in 2007, but they cannot do it outside of a window. That's something they can't do outside of a window. Let's see here. But WNYZ-LP, which is the low-power TV station, doesn't run station ID at the top of the hour and simulcasts on W268BY 1015 and WVIP 93.5 HD4. Do you think this is a problem? Okay. Technically, okay, again, this is non-attorney, non-legal advice. Just common sense construction of the rules. I'm going to say that there's not an issue, and I'll tell you why. We are talking about a low-power television station, TV. Low-power television is allowed to identify either orally or visually. They're not required to do both. So, if you have a low-power TV station that just happens to be on Channel 6 and just happens to be using their oral carrier for marketing to people with FM radios, okay? Get where I'm coming from? And then maybe some kind of unrelated but still relevant picture being broadcast. As long as the station ID, as long as the WNYZ-LP New York is there, that satisfies the rules. Now, where there needs to be an ID is on the HD, on the WVIP 93.5 HD4. Radio broadcast stations are required if they have an HD multicast, they are required to run station ID on all of their multicasts. That's in the rules. So, and then if the 1015, the W268B Bravo Yankee translator is rebroadcasting the 93.5 HD4, then that WVIP would be the ID that would be heard on there. So like that's oops. Let me learn how to spell here. So you know, so that ID would basically have to say something here as soon as I can read it. This database is driving me nuts. We're going to try to fix this weekend, kids. We are going to try to fix it this weekend and get this and get this stuff back together again. But so yeah, so the station would have to identify as WVIP HD4 New Rochelle. That's the ID that's got to appear, that you got to be able to hear on that 93.5 HD4 and on the 1015 translator. It does not have to broadcast, though, on the 87.7, as long as the 87.7 is running a visual call sign identifier. So yeah, if that 93.5 is not if you're not hearing WVIP New Rochelle every hour on 93.5 HD4 or on the translator, then yeah, there's definitely a compliance issue there, and that is in violation. So I guess I will amend your answer and say yes and no. So there we go. Let's see. I'm still looking for any questions. Let's see where she's. Yeah, nice informative. Not only to LPFM but to a small NCE too. But you need a mic limiter. I agree. I do. This is temporary. What we have set up right now is totally temporary. And actually, I might be overdriving this. I am right now temporarily on the microphone that comes with the camera. This is not my intended thing. I mean, I've got this. I'm waiting for this. It's on back order at BSW. Okay, it's on back order, and so I'm waiting for that to come in, and then once that comes in, yeah, we'll have a pod mic set up, and then we'll have to figure out how to run how to make the audio chain sound good. Even though I've got the big beast back there, which I've not had a chance to really work on yet. I might just get a small mixer in here for what we do here, and so we can do a little more. But this is temporary. I rest assured that this is temporary, the way things are set up right now. Like I said, we've got more equipment on order, and I will be storming more broadcast station warehouses to try to find things that I need. All right. Let's see. Oh, interesting. An interesting post that was made by Hans Letz of one of my supportive stations, KBUU-LP, the ones who got the 2 boosters. I'll tell you, first of all, I can attest that they are running legit. They are running legal. They're running legal power, legal antenna, legal everything. Okay. Because of the geography of Southern California, and because of the fact that they do have some elevation, they are kind of in a foothill effect situation on this station, and they're running 72 watts ERP. I believe it's 72 or somewhere around there. It's in the 70s because of height above average terrain. And they are right on the beach. The station is literally, it's Malibu Beach. It's the Malibu area. They were able to hear the station down by the San Onofre nuclear power plant, which is in San Diego County. And, straight shot across the ocean from Malibu all the way to the beach at San Onofre. It's about 92 miles. And they were picking up a very easily decodable signal at 92 miles away. And yes, the station is legit. I did an inspection on that station when I was there in June. They are legit. And I don't think he's jacking up anything. It's an interesting effect. It's a coastal effect that we have in Southern California where this kind of thing happens. When I used to live out there and I used to get permits to drive down into Mexico and operate amateur radio from down there. Many years ago, I used to hold a Mexican call sign XE2GHM for a while, and I would operate from Mexico. And on the 220 repeaters, I would be able to get into the 220 repeaters in Southern California, including the ones that were a little more inland, like Contractors Point and Loop Canyon and Oat Mountain and such, with just a simple whip antenna. And it was because of the coastal effect. And it's pretty neat because of the way, the curvature of Southern California and how that all works. It's pretty amazing what happens to radio signals in that area. So yeah, definitely something a look. I assume you're asking what format of the station. I assume you're asking about KBUU. They are a full-fledged community station. They run a mix of music, local news. They were also on the air in the hours leading up to the Woolsey fire, the big, huge Southern California brush fire that happened last year, that destroyed over 1,500 homes in Los Angeles and Ventura counties, and did a lot of damage in Malibu. And I went out there, like I said earlier this year, to assess what was going on out there. And I do have video from out there. I still have yet to actually be able to sit down and produce it. But I do have a lot of raw video that I shot while I was out there, and we'll get that up here sometime here in the next couple months. Let's make this channel work. Please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Be a part of this channel. And I need to get the subscribers up so that way I can get all the good stuff from YouTube. Not necessarily looking for monetization, but just some of the simple stuff and such. And we want to make this thing work. And and hopefully we'll have some more stuff. I've got a lot of video of station tours and stuff like that I'm doing, and I'm planning on more station visits here real soon. Let's make this work, people. Let's make this work. Subscribe. Anyway, it's 12 o'clock. I've got to run. And with that, I'm just going to say take care. And next week is the meeting. We'll be on the air at 10 o'clock. Meeting's at 10:30. And then we'll be back on after the meeting to maybe discuss what was discussed at the meeting. All right, so until next week, if you have any questions, feel free to post them anywhere that we have social media. Remember to follow REC Networks on Facebook, the LPFM, the LPFM Tech Advice. We're everywhere. All right, we'll see you next week. Take care, all.